Hey everybody, welcome back. It's me, Teri Hunter. It is Sunday, December 20th, 2020, and I started this broadcast at 11 a.m. and forgot to put it to be public, so I had to start it over again. Hopefully you'll all find me soon enough. So what I'm going to do is I want to kind of start with the dynamic. Oh, there we are. Hi, guys. Sorry about the mistake. Can you let me know in the chat that you can hear me? Oh, hi, Juan. Hi, small wildflowers. I apologize. I started the broadcast at 11 and put it somehow as unlisted. I apologize. I feel like I'm brain dead. For 2020 has just made my brain mushy. I don't know what more to say. So kooky. So thanks, guys, for putting up with me. I was wondering where you all were. I feel so much better seeing you all. Hi, Tebow. Hi, Tara. Hi, Juan. Hi, Keegan. Hi, Hybo. Skylar. Z, good afternoon. Okay, and Jay, there you are, expanded in Urdu. Skylar, welcome. CJ, welcome. Okay. So today is the day before we technically go into the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. And I have to say, guys, when I looked at Planet Watcher today, they have the conjunction starting today. And this is really ushering in the age of Aquarius and a whole new, vibration, because we're going from earth to air. So for the last 200 years, with the exception, I think, in like 1980 something, Jupiter and Saturn have been meeting in earth signs. So now as we go and we start to meet in air signs, we start here in Aquarius, and then 20 years from now, it's going to meet in Libra. And the interesting thing for me is that by being in Aquarius, 11th house, this idea of unique expression, this idea of liberation, this idea of revolution, really, within the collective and the individual. So the Aquarian energy is taking us into this individualization where we become more of ourselves, more of our authentic self in celebration, not in a pushing way, not where we feel alien anymore. And then as we incorporate that and integrate that into our everyday lives, we move back into the collective, allowing or fostering that acceptance that allows other people to do the same. So this is what's really the energy moving into this 20-year cycle. On top of that, I believe we're going to see innovations in technology and science that are opening us up to expanded awarenesses of life beyond what we know it. And then we get into this idea of Libra bringing in this Venusian energy on top of it. So there is a harmonious, peaceful, and this vibration of diplomacy as we express ourselves, as we, I think there's going to be an age of it's this sort of science and art coming together in a way of not competing with one another and not necessarily even having to be cooperative with one another, but just allowing a space to coexist. So lots of interesting things going on. I had somebody make a comment about the startling headlines that we all use for our videos. And, we've been taught through marketing that, fear sells, nostalgia sells, you need to shock people. And I personally have seen that, my more mundane headlines don't get as many views. So I can honor that. But again, I have to say, these are really transformational times. And while each week isn't necessarily, at a height of 10, there is a building of this sort of, the transformation kind of goes through shock and awe, like we were all feeling in March, April, and May this year as the pandemic brought in these new dynamics. And then it became more normal and it became more, we adjusted to it. So that's kind of where I'm thinking. is that's what's kind of going to be happening and moving forward. So yes, I am going to be starting the readings. Right now, I'm going to start at Pisces, my new normal, and work my way towards Aries. There was something else I wanted to say. I can't remember what it is. Oh, wow. CJ, yeah, the sleeping thing is pretty crazy. My dream time has been really nutty too. I know you'd mentioned yours had been. Okay, so here I'm going to start with Pisces, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And I start with rising because I feel like this is the most influential, at least for me and for my life experience. Then the moon, because I believe we manifest on our emotions. And when our emotions are aligned to our vision, manifestation feels a little bit easier. And when our emotions are not aligned, we feel that little bit of a struggle going on. So then I go to stelliums because when we have 4 or more planets in one sign or house, I believe that is very strong influence and is indicative of something important within our life's intention and our life path. And then I go to the sun. Because the sun is how we project ourselves out into the world. At least that's how I perceive it. So let's start with Pisces. Here we go, Pisces. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel for Pisces is Grace and Antoinette. The second is Omega. The third is Adriana. And the final is Astera. Hi, Les. Hi, Nirvana Flux. Hi, Happy Paws. Hi, Mystical Stone with Melissa. Z, good to see you. So good to see everyone in the chat. All right. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Earth Fairy. Omega is being joined by the Love card. Adriana is being joined by the King. And Astera is being joined by Merlin. So one of the cool things about this conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn is that it can be seen in the sky. In the southwestern hemisphere, I think it is. Oh, Shelley, I'm so sorry to hear about your cat. Someone's going to be mad at me for interrupting myself. I apologize. But I want to offer it this way because for Pisces, when I looked at Astera in the final position, and Astera was saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and your desires, I almost felt like I was hearing that Disney song, When You Wish Upon a Star. Because in the foundational position, we have Grace and Antoinette, the angels of compassion. And then we have the Earth Fairy, which is about groundings, foundations, about our physical being. And I feel like 2020 has been an interesting roller coaster ride. And we'd like to think that, when we mark the calendar 365 days, that it will change the energy. But I'm not sure it's going to completely change the energy. We have a square between Uranus and Jupiter coming up on January 17th. And we have a square between Saturn. Well, 3 squares are going to be in 2021 between Saturn and Uranus. So we are still going to be experiencing a bit of disruption. How we perceive that disruption will be an individual choice. So here, this is really Pisces. Have compassion as your physical world shifts, because as you do, in the opportunity or the obstacle, Omega is the angel of victory, and there is the Love card. And I want to offer it this way, because while some of you Pisces may already be in relationships with others, meaning intimate relationships, not just regular relationships, I feel like for those of you that are single, there's the potential that you will meet somebody. And while the King off is really a male energy, for some reason, in relation to Omega and the Love card, I feel like Pisces could be, there's a couple things. First, I feel like you could be led to a love relationship that you have been wanting and has been elusive. But I also feel like there's the potential that something that feels like a justice, or something that feels like a karmic manifestation will come to fruition. So let's say that you've been working towards something and it's been taking a long time to see itself manifest in the physical world. Now I believe it will start to do that. And your continued compassion for whatever disruption may come up. Because as with Merlin in the final position, this is a karmic card. It's alchemy, it's justice, it's balance through pressure. And there's Asteris. So I want to offer it this way. I feel like there has been disruption, obviously. There could be more disruption. You could see some disruption coming up as a result of the eclipses and this new energy of going from earth to air. And as a result of that, it can usher in something you could not have imagined that's amazing. Something that you're like, no way, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe that that crappy thing made this great thing happen. That's really where I'm thinking. So I really want to, that compassion thing is not about like, oh, this is awful and I'll get through it. It's more about a broader version of maybe something bigger is happening here. Maybe there is something, because Adriana talks about being led. The king talks about things pertaining to justice, to authority, but it feels like it comes through a disruption and through something that feels initially icky and then turns out amazing. That's where I'm going with that. It may be, that Neptune being in Pisces, and it has been in Pisces for a bit of time. Gosh, I like my words. But I want to offer it this way. As you guys start to contemplate these planets, ask the planet. Tell Neptune that you're tired of the fog and now you want to have its energy support your intuition and shift a little bit. Because I believe that the planets are evolving and their influence is evolving just the same way we are evolving. And that's something to give life to. Okay, let's go on to our Aquarius. For those of you that are new or just stepped into the chat, I just finished Pisces. I'm going on to Aquarius. I work my way backwards, so I'm on the second sign. Yes, I go backwards because I don't know. It feels like it was over a year ago. I just felt like it wasn't fair to all the last, quarter of the signs to always have to wait to the end. So that's how I started that. Here we go. So Aquarius, I want to like kind of welcome you into your own energy. Be excited because where you used to feel like the black sheep, or you might have felt like the weirdo or the alien in your own world. I don't think you're going to feel that way anymore. I feel like you're going to start to feel a little bit more like, oh, it's cool to be an alien in my own world. It's cool to be, a little bit different. And in doing so, that difference makes me excited about your being different. Okay, here we go. All right. Aquarius. Our first angel is Akasha. The second is Serena. The third is Yvonne. And the final is Seraphina. Thank you, Z. I have a Uranus in my 5th house of Leo. Hey, Barbara, it's so wonderful to see you. Welcome back. Molly Dama, welcome. All right, here we go. Akasha for Aquarius is being joined by the Wasp. Serena is being joined by the Focus card. Yvonne is being joined by the Deer. And Seraphina is being joined by the Serpent. So Akasha is a spiritual teacher, and I just got chills everywhere. And then there's the Wasp. And it's interesting to me because, when we're just now changing these elements, and I know we've been going through major changes in the last 2 years. Our structures are breaking down. And not in a, I mean, I could say in a bad way, but it doesn't feel like a bad way, because I feel like the world, humanity at large, has so much to learn from the Aquarian energy. So Akasha is a spiritual teacher. And it says, she says, you have a divine gift for humanity and something to teach humanity. And now we have the Wasp. And up until now, I don't know that people have embraced you for who and what you are, for your unique version of things, for your, there's an energy about Aquarius that while you are invested in humanity, I don't know that you're emotionally vulnerable to like the individual. It's almost as if Aquarius can see the big picture. And so I kind of, okay, I don't want to be choppy, but let me kind of use Cancer as a foil. Cancer is about family, about our individual properties, our homes, our little worlds, whereas Aquarius is about the big world at large. So I think that the Wasp is saying that up until now, maybe you have not been embraced for your teachings because they have appeared too broad and may not feel emotionally connected to the individual. So this is where I'm going, because in the opportunity or the obstacle is Serena, the angel of abundance. And then there's the focus card. So now we have the idea of we're entering the age of Aquarius in a big way. So now what if people are more willing to embrace your Aquarian energy? And rather than fighting with you about being different, about having different ideas, starting to embrace those ideas. And your job is to be serene and know that you're in a receptive mode as you focus. And you become, this is in the angel's advice, more vulnerable to your own journey of, and I want to put it this way, being gentle and diplomatic with others as they fear your uniqueness. Because people, and I don't mean it in a way where you'll be villainized for your uniqueness as much as, people want to be accepted and loved. And oftentimes our initial reaction to something different is to be afraid of it. And I feel like this is where the shift is coming in, where people will start to embrace your expression and your uniqueness and learn from it. That's how you'll be the teacher. Because in the final position is the serpent, healing and knowledge, and there's Seraphina, a happy change to your family. So as we're entering the age of Aquarius, which is this sort of combination of this humanitarian idea, we are going to be seeing more. I love the alien face from Molly Dama, because I totally think that this Aquarian age is going to have us much more interested in space, in life outside of what we know as humans, and be more open to that idea. I can't help but think about Star Wars and about that bar, with all the different aliens having cocktails and hanging out. So, here we are starting a 200-year cycle. Yeah. We'll be flying cars soon. Anyway, so I want to offer it this way. So for Aquarius, as this week, because these are weekly readings from the angels to help you traverse the transits, as you can be aware that people are still catching up with your way of thinking. And that way of thinking is not about a herd mentality, but rather taking the Saturnian old ways and integrating them with Uranus. Because I kept asking Spirit, why would whoever, rules astrology, and in 1781, when they discovered Uranus, why did they put it with Saturn? Why? And I thought it's because somewhere there was a forward thought that uniqueness would be the new norm, and that Saturn would support the stoic journey of staying on course to be yourself while the rest of the world caught up, and the herd mentality became less nose to butt and more looking up to the skies. Hope that makes sense here. All right, let's go on to our Capricorns. Molly Dama, I think that feeling misunderstood because of your uniqueness is also a great gift that you have to give, because as you run across other people and their uniqueness, you will remember what has happened to you and be more open. So, yeah. So many things are going on in science right now and in space. I truly believe that while the government hasn't talked about some of the space programs that have been implemented in the last few years, because politics and in general has taken over the everyday life, there's some very interesting programs being implemented. I don't know if you guys have heard about the exoplanets, but these are planets that have a similar vibration or a similar dynamic to the Earth that can support life. And there's this part of space called the Goldilocks area. And it's sort of like the three beds. It's a place where the planets and the stars in that quadrant of our universe can support life. So very interesting. Okay, let's go on to our Capricorns. Kind of exciting to have Saturn moving away from Pluto, having us move into this new energy. Capricorn gets a little bit of a reprieve from all the transformation. All right. Our first angel for Capricorn is Yvonne. The second is Bridget. The third is Akasha. And the final is Indriel. As I'm pulling these cards, I can't help but thinking of Saturn ruling Capricorn. And then Capricorn, the next sign is Aquarius. They could not be more different. Capricorn's very earth, this is how we do it. This is how we've always done it. This is how we're going to do it. This is tried and true and tested. And then, Aquarius is so different. Why is that planet why is that planet ruling or co-ruling two such different signs? It must mean there's some bigger evolution going on. Saturn rules the father. I don't know. I kind of think of that as Father Sky, not the individual human father. So I'm hoping that my ramblings are starting to make sense, that we're looking at this transformation from something rigid to something more fluid or flexible, almost like going from steel in Capricorn to going to wood. It's still a strong structure, but breathes with the elements. Bridget's being joined by the Joy card. Akasha, the spiritual teacher, is being joined by the Restriction card. And Indriel's being joined by the Truth. Okay. So, Capricorn, let me start from the beginning. Meaning, as far as the reading goes, I believe that Saturn, your ruling planet, has moved into the 0 degree of Aquarius, the most pure energy of Aquarius. And here, Yvonne is saying, for me, this is a card of being vulnerable to your deepest truth. Your deepest truth that is outside of the box. Just because someone is a Capricorn or ruled by Saturn, it doesn't mean that you don't have out of the box thoughts. It doesn't mean that you don't want to express your own individuality. It just means to me that you're predisposed to doing what is accepted, what is the norm for now. So to me, when I'm asking, what are the angels talking about? What are they advising for Capricorn for this week as we move into this new vibration? Being vulnerable to your deepest truth, being vulnerable to something that you can't quite see with your eyes, because now is a time to follow your joy, to really allow for that revolution within yourself, to look deeper as to what brings you happiness. Because in the angel's advice, we have Akasha again, the spiritual teacher, coming up again. And there's the Restriction card. And I don't think this is about restriction being held tight. I feel like this is about your ruling planet of Saturn. And you have something to learn about Saturn. And Saturn is now asking you not to just do what you're told to do, because you've been told to do it, but to follow your joy. Because here is Indriel, the light worker, and the truth card in the final position. So now Saturn makes the new normal innovation. Saturn allows for transformation. Saturn says, you know what? You have been doing the hard work of being authentic to you, to being who and what you want to be, and the hard work is not about action. It's about your belief. It's about looking at what's going on up in here. Think about Aquarius. It's an air sign. Aries rules thought. So as we are aware of our thoughts and we become focused in those thoughts, and I want to offer it this way, because being focused doesn't mean you can't wobble out of that focus. It just means being aware of that and then pulling yourself back in. And if indeed you feel challenged in pulling in your focus, then calling upon your guides and your angels and thanking them for helping you to find the focus and using the contrasting experience to anchor in your truest and deepest intention. Because, well, each week, it's almost like raising a child lately. You know, the days go fast, or I should say the days feel long, but the years go by fast. And I feel like that's what's happening for humanity. The days feel long and arduous because we put our masks on when we go outside and we have to think about everything differently. We don't get to walk around unconscious anymore. You know, we see someone walking down the street 50 paces away and we're already pulling our masks up, you know, stepping further away. So now I feel like this is about being aware of the transformation, and rather than surrendering to the fear, being intentional that this fear is false evidence appearing real that is breaking away to the deeper truth of who and what we will be and are being and have agreed to be as we transform. All right, that's where I'm going. Let's go on to our Sagittarius. There are so many eyes on Capricorn and Aquarius. And I feel like because each of us has these influences in our chart, whether we realize it or not, we may not be dominated by them, but each planet affects us. And, you know, we deal with less than, you know, I can't remember the numbers, at 10 planets that we have. Let me count. The Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, Uranus, Jupiter, Neptune. I'm missing something, aren't I? And look, when we look out into the night sky, there are so many points of light. I have to think that there's such a bigger picture here than what we see. So now I feel like this going from Saturn to Aquarius energy is more about going from what we see with our physical eyes to what we feel with an inner knowing. Okay, let's go on to our Sagittariuses. Oh, Keegan, I so much more trust what I can't see than what I can. And I've created a new habit of trusting that inner voice. And this last couple of weeks, I've had this weird anxiety. My moon is at 9 degrees Taurus. So Uranus has been floating around my moon. But if I didn't trust that inner knowing, my eyes would really mess with me and I'd have so much anxiety. So when you're going to that place of not trusting what you can't see, that's a really good time to ask Spirit to come in and confirm that deeper knowing through physical experience. And then there becomes that baton pass that creates that trust. All right, here we go. Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right. Our first angel is Archangel Michael. The second is Omega. The third is Akasha. Look at the spiritual teacher coming out over and over again. So cool. And there's Isabella. All right. Archangel Michael is being joined by the High Priestess. Omega is being joined by the Raven. Akasha is being joined by Merlin. And Isabella is being joined by the Swan. So Archangel Michael talks about, okay, so this Sagittarius rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Archangel Michael talks about courage. In this particular deck, he's asking you to have the courage, pardon me, to move towards your life changes. And I want to offer it this way. You know, we have, I can't decide if because I'm a grown up now. I mean, y'all know I'm 61 years old. I can't believe it. And I can't decide if I'm more aware of life's changes because I'm older or because life is changing so crazy right now. So I do agree that life requires courage right now, courage to follow our version of what we want to be. And that's what this Aquarian age is about. That's what Saturn and Jupiter have to offer us. You know, Jupiter's going to blow past Saturn and the conjunction is going to loosen up, but it's going to be about a year influence. Well, I don't know, because I'm not sure if Jupiter is going to go retrograde in Aquarius, because the way some people were talking about it, it was moving awfully quickly. So I'm not quite sure. It took a year to go through Capricorn. So anyway, this is where I'm not the greatest astrologer. I'm still learning. But my point is this, is that the transformation of beliefs, Jupiter, going into foreign places in my mind, Aquarius, and allowing myself the privilege of really going deep into what I want. It's going to require courage, but the timing is right, Sagittarius. Here, magic happens. And I want to offer it this way because the Raven is an interesting card. It talks about coincidence, synchronistic events, and magic. And then we see it sitting on this skull. And this is kind of a creepy picture, right? Like, oh, that doesn't seem kind of fun. But to me, there's a death of the old ways that is giving life to the new ways where the victory comes in. And this is where you have something to learn. This is in the angel's advice as Akasha, the spiritual teacher, through the pressure, through the alchemy, through the justice of what has happened. Each soul that is walking through these last 2 years, whether they've chosen to be here and stay or to be here and cross over, has chosen to be here during this time of transformation. And somebody said they wanted to have a baby earlier. I think it was Keegan. And I want to offer it this way, because if you want to have a baby, what you're doing is inviting a soul in. You're inviting a soul in for an experience. And what if the soul has said, well, you know what? I don't necessarily need to be in that really disruptive time. I'd rather come in during the age of Aquarius, when the stars are aligned for more harmony and self-expression. And as you give life to that idea, then you invite that soul in. Because for my Sagittariuses, Isabella is saying, yes, the timing is right for this transformation. And I want to offer it this way, because Archangel Michael is asking you to have the courage to go into the energy of the High Priestess. The High Priestess is a highly intuitive energy. It's not necessarily in the physical just yet, but yet she has all the ingredients. And there's the Raven right there, right? The Raven that's sitting on her shoulder as she's looking into the cauldron. There's the Raven again. There's the timing. Yes, victory is upon you as you understand that it was through the disruption that came the balance. And now it's time to trust that bigger picture of that inner knowing. And I want to offer it this way, because I feel like as we move forward in these new vibrational opportunities, it gives us this. Okay, I said it last week that animals don't have language, and I wasn't actually being accurate because I was only speaking of it in relation to humans and their words. And I want to offer it this way because I feel like we will start to have a new language. We will see each other vibrationally versus our words. So this is where I feel like the real transformation comes in. I feel like for Sagittarius that as you have the courage to move towards versions of yourself that are not tried and true, that are foreign in both idea and in physical experience, that you will start to have victories within that. There will be signs and omens coming through that will support that 3D version of what was only conceptual before. And because of that, you will start to trust an inner knowing at such a deep level that you will inadvertently become the Sagittarian teacher that you were always meant to be, but not because you're trying to teach, because people are learning through your experiences. And that is where I think all of us as a tribe become the most powerful, is not because of what we say, but of what we believe about ourselves and the actions we take based on that belief that then send a ripple effect. Hence the age of Aquarius, where the weird becomes normal. Okay, let's go on to our Scorpios. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness, Kanchan, it's 3:45 in the morning. Whew. I don't know if you're tired or not, but we'll send you lots of love and lots of good energy. Although you're here a lot, which I love seeing you. Okay, Scorpio, here we go. I'm going to give it a good shuffle. All right, our first angel for Scorpio, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums is Adriana. The second is Bridget. The third is Aurora. And the final is Sonia. Woo. Gloria, I go backwards. So Libra will be next. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. Adriana is being joined by the frog. Bridget is being joined by the love card. Aurora is being joined by Merlin. And Sonia is being joined by the spider. This is very interesting to me. Somebody said, what was it? I saw a comment about Scorpio. Where was that? Let me back up a little bit because I think it's pertinent to what we're looking at. Oh, Keegan said, Scorpio in danger with a question mark. And I want to say it this way. I don't think Scorpio is in danger, but I do believe that Scorpio is in many ways being offered a rebirth in some ways. Because I want to say this, Adriana is leading you towards the answers to your prayers. The frog talks about cleaning up emotional baggage, cleaning your house. The mind is considered when we dream about a house, when we dream about a structure, metaphorically, it is the mind. So I want to offer it this way because Pluto can be kind of scary. Pluto can be very dark. It can take us down dark pathways. You know, I think of the plumbing, the narrowness, the stench of sewage associated with the anus, with Pluto. But I want to offer this too. Without manure, many gardens wouldn't grow to such a lush and full and vibrant dynamic. So I want to say the frog is also a sign of good luck in Asian cultures. I believe that, when you go into like a Chinese restaurant or even a Japanese restaurant, you'll see the frogs on the counter with the money in their mouth. So I feel like for Scorpio, Adriana is saying that we're leading you towards the answers to your prayers, to your dreams and your intuitions, which you have to practice at the higher vibration because you've been used to going down the lower vibration, the more scary path. Because, and I say it that way because Bridget is asking you to look deeper because there's more love going on. And I don't mean love of another individual. I mean that some of your intuitions that may initially feel kind of spooky and scary are actually more of a loving vibration. And what you get to do is to look deeper into a situation, because Aurora in the angel's advice is saying you're flying high right now. Don't descend. And this is Merlin. This is the grand wizard of balance and of magic. And I feel like the magic comes from your ability to look deeper into what may appear disruptive is actually the moving out the debris in order to move you closer to what you want to experience, because your guides are working in harmony with you right now. The spider to me is a card of relationships, and the relationship with your guides is how your mind will feel the balance. I want to offer it this way. The mind is a muscle. It's been imprinted, okay? And we have this loop that goes on, and we would like to think, oh, I think a thought and I have a choice, but we don't always have a choice because of the imprint. So when we've been hurt, that imprint will go back and it'll get triggered. And so what I feel like is for Scorpio, that when the loop happens, now you go and you look deeper into what love. Okay. Silly. All right. Let me back up for a second. When I was younger, I hated my life. I had a very abusive maternal experience to the point where I haven't even spoken to my mother in like 40 years, except on a handful of times. I thought, why did God choose me for this nasty ass experience? Because in my Christian upbringing, God made all the choices. Well, as I grew and evolved and got closer to my spiritual self, to the truth of who I am, I realized that God, through the cleaning up of my emotional baggage, through the reconciliation of it, and when I say reconciliation, I mean turning it into a tool. I saw that I had so much more love to give through those crappy experiences, that I was actually more on my life path than I realized. And then it all made sense because my connection to my guides and my angels and my partnership with them made all of that manure, Scorpio, turn into, well, I should say crap turn into manure, because then it started to feed the garden. So let me try to be more succinct. Oftentimes as spiritual seekers, as spiritual influencers, as light workers on this planet to help raise the vibration, we walk through icky stuff, because that icky stuff keeps us or allows us a relatability that then can help others and lift them. So that's why I always use the word reconciliation versus release, because it's not about me letting go of something. It's me transforming it into a tool. So I don't have to release anything. So Scorpio, there is a beauty coming to you. There's a beauty of your Plutonian energy going from something that feels like a death to a true rebirth. And the rebirth is empowering you to look deeper into the plumbing of your life, looking deeper down the chute. And is that chute really trying to pull me under or lift me up? That's where I'm going. All right, let's go into our Libras. Scorpio is fierce, absolutely. And in a very beautiful way, because when you're tapping into that real strong sense of intuition that, and I think about what the 8th house has truly to offer, there is no death. There is only physical transformation. All right, here we go. Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Happy birthday to your dad, Shelley. All right, here we have for Libra. Our first angel is Isabella. The second is Yvonne. The third is Indriel. And the final is Serena. Ooh. All right, for Libra, joining Isabella is the spider. Joining Yvonne is the owl. Joining Indriel is Merlin. And joining Serena is the Lady of the Lake. Isabella says the timing is right for this new venture. And there's the spider, which is very interesting to me because I could say, oh, yes, the timing is right for this new relationship because I think of the spider as a relationship card. But you know what? I don't think it's a relationship outside of yourself. I feel like it's a relationship with your sense of balance, Libra. You know, I'm a Libra sun. And when I was a little girl, I remember walking down the street with my dad and talking about grammar school was rather rough for me. I got picked on quite a bit. And, you know, I was talking to my dad about it. And my dad looked at me and said, Teri, the world's not fair. And my head whipped around like the frickin' exorcist. And I said, that's a choice, Dad. The world could be fair if we choose to be fair. What I didn't know as a child was that fair is a perception. Fair is not necessarily a law. It is a way of viewing things. So here, Libra, I think that the timing is right for you to come into cooperation and relationship with your own perceptions. And I say it because Libra wants to be cooperative, and rather than be confrontational, Libra will do an end run sometimes. And I feel like when I go to the opportunity or the obstacle, the angels are asking Libra to be vulnerable to both the sides of things. The owl represents wisdom and deception. Bad news, good news. You know, what appears bad sometimes is good. What appears disruptive is sometimes the gateway to something greater. And so I feel like right now, Spirit is asking Libra to have a broader perspective of things in some ways, to not be too, I want to say judgy. I want to say it that way because in the angel's advice, we have Indriel, the light worker, and we have Merlin. And again, Merlin is interesting because Merlin is the grand wizard. So we would think, oh, magic happens easily. And yet it represents alchemy, balance, justice. It's like a pressurized thing. And the pressure is being vulnerable to the dark side actually serving the light. We don't think of that very often. We think bad is bad and good is good. And I don't think that's true. I think that there are shades to everything. And there are roles that the soul plays. And I'm not saying that there aren't dark, lower energies, but sometimes they serve us. They give us choices because Serena is the angel of abundance and there's the Lady of the Lake. And I don't think this is about abundance. I think this is about allowing God to bring us a perception we could not otherwise see, and Libra having the courage to see it. So I want to offer it this way. There's a movie called The Shack, and it's a great book made into a movie. And it's about a gentleman's experience with God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And I don't want to tell you about the whole movie because it's such a great movie that if you haven't seen it, you should watch it and you'd love it. But basically what God ends up showing the lead character, Mac, is that there is a wisdom behind everything. And as a light worker, it's kind of our job to seek the wisdom, to seek the light within the dark and the dark within the light and seeing how they serve one another. So when I look at this spread And I see the spider and Isabella. Yes, the timing is right to come in connection with spirit and to be vulnerable, Libra, to the two sides of every story. Neither is right nor wrong. And in doing so, there comes justice and an ability to see the wisdom of the contrast. And in many ways, this gives us courage to dig deeper into what is most authentic to our truth. That's where I'm going with that. Okay. On to our Virgos. You know, Molly Dama, if you saw a white owl, especially if it was at night, it was probably a white owl. That's a beautiful sign from God and the angels. The white is the purity in some ways, the highest vibration. And then the owl having the sight through the darkness. That's pretty cool. I think that various owls mean different things. I often see barn owls and they have a heart-shaped face. So I always kind of think that my sight should be coming from my heart chakra. All right, on to our Virgos. I've only seen a white owl once in my life, and it was the most amazing sight. The wingspan was it was almost like, it almost looked otherworldly to see something so white and bright in the middle of the night. All right, Virgo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Indriel. The second is Archangel Raphael. The third is Celeste, and the final is Azure. That's a sign, Molly Dama. When you get that feeling, something told me to go outside, start practicing listening to that something. And you'll find that it becomes so tangible to you that it's almost as if you're having a conversation with another human being. All right, Indriel is being joined by the Burden card, Virgo. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Perception card. Celeste is being joined by the High Priestess. And Azure is being joined by the Disruption card. Well, this is interesting to me. So we're talking about moving into the age of Aquarius. We're talking about moving with this conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter. And for, Virgo is the earth sign. So here we're going from an earth energy into an air energy, which may feel a little odd. And I think it's interesting now that I think about it. The Virgo is an earth sign ruled by an air planet. Because when I look at Indriel, the light worker, and I see the burden card together, I feel almost as if Virgo is feeling burdened by trying to shine their light right now. It almost feels as if your perception and I want to offer it this way because, I think this world is very tiresome right now. I feel weary. I'm tired of the news. I'm tired of the disgruntledness. I'm tired of the numbers. I'm tired of the jokes about our politics and finding, ballots inside of dead animals. And, it's a very wearisome time. So I say that because the opportunity and or the obstacle is to see and have a healing in your own perception. And that's echoed by the angels. When I look at Celeste is to me always my perception because it talks about moving me to a new home or a new place of employment. But that new place of employment isn't going to change the way I think about things. It's going to just move my body. So Celeste for me is really a shift in my perception. And the shift is to be more connected to a higher version of myself. And that's where I want to say an Aquarian version of myself. Something that's unique and different and a little out there and may feel a little sci-fi to the rest of the world, because I feel like Azure says your desire will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith. And there's the disruption card. This is in relation to the burden card. So I want to offer it this way. There could be for Virgo that you feel a sense of disruption right now. It's almost as if you're going through a period of time where your intuition and your earthly experience are in conflict. They're telling you two different things. And in order for you to get back on track, you need to look more at your perception than you do at what's happening in the earthly experience. That's what I think it is. Because when I look at Indriel, I'm very focused in on the light shining around the top of her head. And the idea of me shining my light has become a burden, because the practical everyday life on this planet has become difficult. So now, in order for me to truly feel happiness, the only way I can do that is to look at how I'm perceiving things and to choose to perceive them from a higher version. So let me offer it this way. If we were looking at what has not worked, in the United States, for decades, as long as I can remember, we've talked about teachers being underpaid and athletes being overpaid. We've talked about, how certain industries are taken for granted and others are celebrated. And so in order for there to be more balance, there has to be a disruption in that old way. So that's what I think is going on. And here we have this idea of Saturn ruling stoic behaviors, moving into the sign of unique expression for humanity, for the collective. So yes, we will get back on track through disruption. And while it may feel like a burden right now, it will come to be something that we celebrate and that we look back on this time, if we all are lucky enough to get old enough to be able to look back on it and see how productive it really was. Okay, here we go. On to our Leos. Yeah, you guys, I'm sorry. I started a little bit late today because when I initially started the broadcast, I forgot to put it on public. So I was talking to myself for like 10 minutes, wondering where everybody was. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness, a kidney stone is not so easy to pass. I thank God that it wasn't. I've never experienced one physically, but I have been around people who have. All right, we're on Leo now. Leo, rising sun, moon, and stelliums. All right. Our first angel is Sonia. The second is Isaiah. The third is Caressa. And the final is Athena. Ooh. I was just looking at Nira Rattan's comment as well, and I was thinking the same thing, that you could be, Nira, having Jupiter and Saturn in your second house could very much change the way you make money. And as a result of owning what is authentic to your heart, allowing for your unique expression, the house of security, or AKA insecurity, could actually completely shift for you. So, and I mean that in a really fun way. And happy birthday to Serena. Okay, here we go. Sonia, for our Leos, is being joined by the Focus card. Isaiah is being joined by the Queen. Carissa's being joined by the fire fairy, and Athena's being joined by the love card. Sonia talks about having a deceased loved one, saying hello from heaven, saying that things are well and life is continuing on. And it's interesting for me because when I look at this, there's a part of me that actually feels like this is not your team, but maybe there are people that have not necessarily crossed over in this last year or two, but people from the other side that have, I kind of want to put it this way. For Leo, this is going to sound a little silly, but I feel like there are ex-humans. You know, there's different types of souls throughout the universe. There's different vibrations and frequencies. So to me, I feel like people that have incarnated into the earthly experience are coming to Leo right now and wanting to send messages from heaven to say, not that they're okay, but that we're okay. That's the way I kind of want to put it. I feel like I have a client who at the beginning of the year lost her husband. He was in the hospital for one reason and unexpectedly passed away. And I believe it was COVID. And I think of him as I'm tuning into Leo right now, because I feel like he's coming through and telling me that there are many souls that have crossed over that are now coming close to us in a way of wanting to create that language. The veil is thinning. And so even though they're not here in the earthly experience, they are still here and wanting to communicate. And it's weird how these things hit me, but in the opportunity and or the obstacle, here's the Queen and here's Isaiah. And I think this is about reception. I think that this is about receiving information, giving life to new ideas and new situations, that yes, our loved ones are surrounding us. They are indeed here for us. And as they are here for us, we can feel them closer to us. I have this, I have an interesting relationship with my dad who's on the other side. And oftentimes I'll be in a reading and I'll smell cigarette smoke. And I'll ask the client, do you smell that cigarette smoke? And they'll say no. And I know it's my dad and that he's here. And I don't know why I'm getting this so strong for Leo. Maybe it's because the sun rules you, because I'm starting to believe that the dynamics of the fifth house are supposed to, or not supposed to, that's not a word I want to use, but are the opportunity that the soul is being presented now as we shift. And the idea of the fifth house being our personal pleasures, our creativity, our unique expression, our romance, children, excitement, fun. Because in the angel's advice for Leo, we have the end of a life cycle and that new happiness awaits us. And then there's the fire fairy, which is about creative action and optimism. And I feel like I just really want to say that during this transit, you may feel, okay, so let's be totally cuckoo right now for Leo. Uranus rules aliens. So what if it's alien for you to feel your loved ones on the other side? And now you're starting to get signs and omens. Their pictures are popping up in drawers. Their name is being said on the radio or the television. I mean, this is not just about a burning bush or an apparition or ectoplasm. There are signs and omens that come through so many of our everyday activities. And I feel like they're coming through because in the final position is Athena and the love card. And I feel like Athena talks about lovingly expressing myself and allowing myself to be powerful. And there's the love card. This is so kooky, but I literally feel like this period of time, this moving into the air signs, which we consider mental, we consider intellectual, they also, to me, feel like they're they're playing to the social aspects. Every one of these air signs is social in some way or another. Gemini ruling our everyday activities and everyday interactions with people. Libra ruling our partnerships, and Aquarius ruling the collective. And what if the collective is not just humans that are here on the planet, but the humans that have crossed over? And the veil thinning is really about allowing us to have, when I was talking, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting myself, but when I was talking to this client whose husband had passed over, he was very much coming through and telling me that he wanted his wife to know that if she opened up, she would feel him much more so in the everyday activities. And the thoughts that were running around in her mind, she thought she heard his voice in the house. And I said, I'm pretty sure you did hear his voice. And this is what I'm kind of talking about. I feel like Leo is going to, in some ways, lead the charge. You know, you're on the opposite side of Aquarius, the access. So to me, there's something about giving life to the idea that you are receiving information, you're receiving messages as Monday as hi, hello from heaven, I love you, I'm well. And as you assert yourself lovingly towards those messages and you acknowledge and focus on them, then there will be more communication coming back for you, which will then set a tone for moving into this new dynamic. That's where I'm going with this. So when because when my dad was alive, he did not believe in the work I do. He didn't believe that I could commune with energies that were not in physical. And now when I'm in the middle of a session and I smell cigarette smoke, I think he's there going, well, you know what? You were right. I was wrong. And I'm letting you know I was here. My grandfather, who I had the closest relationship to, I've never felt him except one time since he passed over. And I thought he would come and he would talk to me and he'd be hanging around and making himself known. But no, the relationship that I feel most palatable from the other side is the challenging relationship I had with my father. So, interesting. All right, here we go. On to our Cancers. And I need to get them moving on here so we stick to that hour and a half. So Deanie, I think it's Deanie or Deanie, said that if you sing to the sun of love and thanks, the sun will answer you with stronger healing rays. It's divine. I love that idea. I love the idea of celebrating the sun and the idea of song, because song and music is the language of the angels for me. And the sun represents life, represents energy and vitality. That's great. And I love the vibration that it sends. You know, as you guys celebrate various new moons and solstices through ritual and through ceremony, you know, these things are really more about your intention and about your vibration of love than it is about the ceremony itself. So you can make up your own dynamics. I'm not one to always follow other humans and what they say as law. I think you guys have noticed that before. So, all right, here we go. On to our Cancers. Our first angel is Layla. The second is Athena. The third is Francesca. And the final is Opal. I almost always seem to get children cards when it comes to Cancer. It's just so funny. Agreed, Keegan. Cancer moons are super sensitive, but as they transcend the human sensitivity into the spiritual sensitivity, there's a great sense of feeling comforted and supported. All right. Cancer. Layla is being joined by the Truth card. Athena is being joined by the Fear card. Francesca is being joined by the Novice. And Opal's being joined by the Movement card. So here we are in the week before the Christmas holiday. Excuse me. For those of you that celebrate the Christmas holiday. And I bring this up because at least here, I'm in Orange County, a little south of Los Angeles. And right now, Los Angeles is the COVID capital of the world. If you've watched the news, the numbers are insane. There's zero occupancy available in the IC or in the emergency rooms, and everybody's freaked out. And so, we're used to celebrating, to gift giving, caroling, and all sorts of things at this time of year that we're being restricted from doing. And if anybody feels that acutely, I think it's Cancer. So here we have Layla asking us to spend time in nature. And that could be your own yard. It could be a plot of, grass that's only about, 2 foot square, but to spend time connecting with the earth element and your truth. And I want to say it this way, because if your truth is you're sick and tired of this dang nonsense that's been going on, it's absolutely okay. If you're frustrated, if you're angry, it is all right. All of these emotions are okay to express to spirit. It's not something that we should hold back on. There's no better place than to speak to God and the angels about our frustrations, because they understand them more than we realize. Because I think as you start to express them, Cancer, you may start to lovingly realize that a lot of this is false evidence appearing real. Here is this fear card. And the fear doesn't feel like you're afraid to assert yourself. It feels like you're afraid of what's going on within the world, and you don't have any power over it. You don't have any real influence. There's only so much you can do. And I feel like when you're connecting with spirit, saying, thank you for showing me the truth of things. Thank you for showing me where I'm projecting fears based on all of this stuff that I'm hearing. Because Francesca is saying, what do you visualize right now? Focus on that and it will come about. Fear will compound itself. And fear is gripping, man. Once you start the journey, once the momentum gets, it's super hard to get out of it. And here's the unstable new beginning. So what this is allowing Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums to start to differentiate between what is a human fear that's been projected, that is not actually in play, and what is truly coming from spirit. Because in the final position is Opal. Opal talks about God and the angels taking care of your children, and there's the movement card. And I don't think this is about physical children as much as it is about the idea of not being able to be around those that you love, and that you will soon be able to reunite with them. But that during this time, the best way for you to support the people that you love is to be able to go into this energy and identify where you are projecting fears. And I'm not saying these fears are not valid fears, but they're not serving you. That's where I'm going with this. And as you're able to spend more time with spirit and say, hey, you know what? I have this fear and I'm looking at this situation and it appears very real to me. So spirit, help me to rise above the situation. Help me to gain traction on what it is I really want to visualize, because I'm in a very unstable place with that. And in doing so, spirit is able to show you that, yes, indeed, there is a greater wisdom and there will be movement. So I just want to run back real quickly and look at, Tanya had made a comment, my brother's Cancer, I'm very anxious. If you know anything about the situation in Belarus, you would get why. I'm scared for his freedom. A lot of people are in prison right now for nothing. Tanya is in some ways a perfect example of an opportunity you have. Your brother is, I don't know what's going on with him personally, but as you're able to go into an opportunity to speak to spirit, your truth, I'm concerned for his safety right now. I'm concerned for his freedom. But thanking them for allowing you to have experiences where your love supersedes your fear. and where your willingness to identify where your focus is and your vulnerability to the instability of your practicing this. And then spirit will able to show you that I am working in tandem with you. It's okay to be afraid because we can move through that fear. That's where I'm going with this. And we'll all send out some good vibes for your brother's safety, physical safety, his mental safety, his emotional safety, and his spiritual safety. Let's go on to our Geminis. Hey, Nikki, good to see you. All right, here we go. Gemini, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, here we go. Our first angel for Gemini is Merlina. The second is Shanti. The third is Francesca. And the final is Archangel Raphael. All right, Merlina is being joined by the protection card. Shanti is being joined by the love card. Francesca is being joined by the king. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the restriction card. This is very interesting to me because, I've been working with this angel deck for, I don't know, since early 2000s. I can't even remember. It feels like forever. And Merlina is very much, to me, like Merlin in the other deck, represents magic. Look at the picture. I'm going to cover the words. There's the wizard hat. Sorry about my fingernails, COVID fingernails. There's the dolphin. Her arms are wide open. We have angels above her. And yet on the face of the card, it talks about confusion. It talks about needing to do research. And I feel like that's counterintuitive because for me, when I look at it, I feel like we've got two angels. We've got two dolphins. We've got her with her arms open. I feel like when I'm looking at this, everything about it has a Gemini feel to it. We've got the two angels above. We've got two angels here. We've got the oceany creatures of the dolphins. We have the yin and the yang sign. So much of this feels like Gemini coming into balance. And the balance is through the idea of Merlin, the idea of magic happening. I don't think this is about physical research. Whoa, sorry about that, guys. Okay, I want to say it this way because the protection card is a 38, and a 38 reduces down to an 11. And an 11 tomorrow, 12/21/2020, is a 1. It reduces down to a 10, which then reduces down to a 1, which is the number of thought. So for Gemini, ruled by Mercury, if you're confused and indecisive, then I feel like this is an opportunity for you to go into a magical place of looking for the balance within your confusion, looking for how something is working cooperatively, because in the opportunity and or the obstacle is Shanti, the angel of peace, and the love card. And I feel like this is your opportunity. But what we know about Shanti is that in order for peace to come through, whatever's disrupting that peace has to step out. And maybe that is Gemini needing some sort of earthly confirmation rather than looking for the magic of what Merlina has to offer. Because Francesca in the angel's advice is saying, Francesca says, what do you visualize right now? That negativity will block your progress. And then there's the king. The king is about justice and balance. This is where I'm going with this. For Gemini, I feel like the back and forth of your mind, the contemplation of the yes and the no, the black and the white, the peanut butter and the chocolate, the peanut butter and the jelly, the opposing sides. If you stare at it long enough, you can find a right in both of them. And so maybe it's about not trying to find the right at all, but allowing it to be. And I say that because in the final position, Archangel Raphael is with the restriction card. And to me, this is really representing Saturn and representing sort of a slower pace, not jumping to a conclusion, not trying to jump to an answer, not trying to find a resolution, but waiting for spirit in some ways to bring some sort of magical element, something you're not aware of. And that will then confirm the energy of being protected. This is an interesting time because I'm never feeling like the protection is physical protection. I know so many of us are vulnerable to our work dynamic right now. I mean, if you're a manicurist, a pedicurist, if you're a hairdresser, if you're a restaurant worker in any way, your jobs are being taken away from you, and there's no control that you have over the dynamic. So to me, there's this stark physical restriction is thrusting you into going to a higher realm, connecting with spirit, and knowing that it is through your thought process that much of this protection comes. So let me offer it this way. Your thought process is your focus. Your focus is everything's okay. I don't know how it's going to be okay. I don't know why it's going to be okay, but I do know that as I adopt this dynamic within me, that spirit will support that. And I feel like this is huge for Gemini because the healing comes through no effort of your own. It comes through the restriction, through the willingness to go into a pause, through the idea of, my camera's driving me crazy right now, through the idea that you have no physical control. You only have your perspective. Oy. So here we go into the age of Aquarius. The age of air, of Saturn and Jupiter meeting in air signs for the next 200 years, which will be Gemini in 60 years from now, I think. I don't know. I didn't look it up. So this period, this journey of duality, the journey of balance, the journey of, I know Libra is supposedly balanced, but how do we not look at that with Gemini as well? How do we not see through the twins some sort of balance through duplicity? So if you're confused this week, if you feel like you don't have enough information, I don't feel like it's about going to Google and trying to figure it out. I feel like it's about trusting your inner voice. And if you don't know what any of it means, it's about allowing it to sort of just sit and be, and then an illumination will come as a result of that. Leslie G. I love this. I am a nurse and I am protected. I keep saying I have the immune system of a god, but with the Gemini moon, I feel more when things are not moving forward for me. I feel this more when things are not moving forward in a romantic relationship. Okay, then I want to offer this. First of all, I love that you said that you're being protected, and I love the I am, because it's such a strong and powerful declaration. And you do have the immune system of a god because you are made in God's image. And when you can take your Gemini moon, your emotions, and apply that same intention and focus to your love life, you'll start to see something shift. And I want to offer this too, because many of us are in contracts with other humans and souls to meet at a certain time. And that time may not have been prior to this transformation, but on the back side of it, to be examples of the joy, the love, the benefit of what has been. meaning the benefit of the disruption and what it afforded. The disruption being the gateway to our dreams. That's kind of where I'm going with this. I feel like my words are getting a little choppy now, so I apologize. All right, here we're going to go on to Taurus. Okay. Here we go. On to our Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And I want to offer this too, because if you have any planets in Taurus that are going to be at the 6th degree or are at the 6th degree, Uranus is going to square Jupiter in January 17th. So that's about, I don't know, a little over less than a month away. This feels very powerful to me. So you might want to look and see what you have, what Uranus is influencing. Because for me, I have Uranus will be within 3 degrees of my moon in a square dynamic to Jupiter. And I can look at that as a challenge, or I can look at it as an opportunity. And I think of it as an opportunity to be liberated from some old emotional issues that may have held me back. So when you're playing with your individual charts and you're seeing things, rather than bracing for, oh no, the lower sides of Uranus, start to thank Spirit for the higher vibrations of these dynamics and the liberation. So Jenny B says she has Mercury at 11 degrees Taurus. That's a looser conjunction to that square, so it won't be as potent on you, but it could absolutely offer you an opportunity to shift some of the ways you're thinking, the ways you're speaking, the way you learn things, and then to ground them at the same time. Okay, here we go. Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oops. Janine, 3 degrees Taurus, I don't think you'll be as affected by that square because you're so far away from it. But these squares, these are 2 slow-moving planets. And when Saturn squares Uranus, these are going to have rather... It's interesting to me because Uranus and Saturn are cooperative or co-rulers of Aquarius. When they are squaring 3 times in 2021, they're going to square each other. To me, this feels like something super revolutionary, something liberating, and not to be feared, but to be worked with. Kind of thinking of it as that square is about building a home. It's, you can't build a foundation without a solid, I think of a square. I suppose you could build a foundation round, but you get my point. So don't let the square scare you. Thank you, CC Pups. You're amazing, and I so appreciate the super chat. Love it. Thank you so much. All right, let's get on to our Taurus. Dawn, I'm a 23 degree sun, and I've been feeling that the Pluto square for the longest time, all that other stuff. All right, Taurus. Pardon me. Our first angel is Grace and Antoinette. The second is Omega. The third is Sonia. And the final is Francesca. Jessica Reyes, I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. So yes, we have done Sagittarius. I am on Taurus. Then we will have Aries and I'll be done for the week. All right. Taurus, Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the dragon. Omega is being joined by the queen. Sonia is being joined by the protection card. And Francesca is being joined by Merlin. It's interesting to me because Uranus transiting through Taurus, we've seen some very unusual things going on, meaning we've seen in our environments the effects of this transit. And many of us have braced in a sort of challenging way, but I really feel like there's a liberation coming. And in many ways, for Taurus, there is a need for compassion. And I want to say it this way. Grace and Antoinette talks about looking at things from another person's point of view. And there's the power and strength card in the form of the dragon. I don't think this is about looking at things from another person's point of view, but maybe looking at your situation from another point of view. How can I win in this situation versus how can I lose? Because what I think happens for Taurus is Uranus is making you nervous, anxious, feeling free-floating anxiety, and the need for security might make you want to tuck into what is been. Even though it's not been balanced, it's what you know. And so as you connect with spirit and you say, thank you for giving me the heart to have compassion for myself as I step into my power as things shift within my life. Because Omega, it offers victory, and much of it comes through a relaxed, receptive energy. The queen for me obviously is female energy, but it's more about being receptive in a very relaxed way rather than a gender. I'm not thinking of it as man versus woman as much as it's invitation versus action. And so this is an invitation for victory. And the angels are saying in there is that you do have powerful loved ones around you right now that are, I feel so strongly that we all have a team of angels, a team of master guides, and our loved ones that have crossed over. And some of them were not even incarnate while we were here. So let's say your soul has a connection with a great grandmother or a great grandfather from that you've never met. You go, well, I didn't know that person in this lifetime, but they on a soul level know you. Because I feel like our teams are coming very close to us right now. And not because they are fearful for us, but rather because the veil is thinning and it's in celebration of knowing that there is no beginning and no end, that we are on one endless journey of possibilities and choices. Because as Taurus trusts that they are being protected and watched over by their loved ones, that they are receiving guidance and help and in many ways victory over their lower vibrations, their fear-based vibrations. Because in the final position, Francesca is again saying, what are you visualizing? And there's alchemy. And the alchemy comes through a bit of pressure. It doesn't come easy. And I want to offer it this way, because the human does not learn through ease. When something comes easily to us, we tend to poo-poo it and we tend to ignore it. So when we have something that we've worked hard towards, then we think, all right, this is it. So as you have worked hard to have compassion for your own power and your own strength, as you feel powerless over the events around you, as you say to yourself, you know what, I cannot push my way. I cannot be a bull. I cannot push my way through this. I get to receive through it. Then you'll come closer to to knowing that your team is watching over you, to feeling their protection. And in doing so, you'll become more aware of what you're visualizing. And then you will have more compassion and more, what is the word I'm looking for? I almost feel like a more ease as you feel, that need for security that Taurus wants, that need to know that they're safe, almost supersedes some of the Venusian qualities of the second house. And I feel like as I look at this and you connect with your team and you're looking, I'm powerless as a Taurus over this. These changes are being thrust upon me. So what I will do is receive the highest vibrations of myself. I will allow spirit to show me things about myself that my insecurities or my ego will not allow me to know. And so I'm surrendering to this kind of vibration thing that goes back and forth. I don't know quite how to say it. It feels a little like this. And through this, rather than feeling like I'm being sick, I feel like I'm dancing, swaying, moving flexibly through this inflexible time. And I say inflexible because it feels like I'm caught between today and yesterday. All right, let's go on to Aries. That sounds a little crazy. Yes, ginger tea, very much. It does help with my tummy. And ginger ale is good for the tummy too. And peppermint, little peppermint. Stay away from the dairy if your tummy's bothering you guys. All right, here we go. On to our final sign, Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Whew. I want to offer this to you guys. I've been really into comfort food. The other day I bought a whole box of Oreos, and I ate 20 of them. 20 of them. And then I threw the rest of the box out because I was afraid I would eat the whole thing. And it was in one sitting. I feel like a lot of the changes that we're going through are, I feel like a sloth as well, small wildflowers. And I feel I want to eat fried foods. I want to eat comfort foods. I want to eat mac and cheese. None of these things make me feel any better. They actually tank me. And I find myself fighting with myself. I've given up the booze. I've given up all the things that, quote unquote, aren't good for you. And now I'm getting to those deeper layers of realizing what vibrationally isn't aligned to me anymore. And I feel like I'm caught between wanting them and not wanting them. And what prices am I willing to pay for? And I notice this with my body. So I say this because as light beings and as a tribe members here, your body will start to reject the lower vibrations of things. The pizza pie stuff, your body will like some of it, but you may have to turn to that cauliflower crust. I don't know quite how to say it, but just be gentle with yourself as you realize that your body is aligning to your frequency. And as your frequency raises, it's a double-edged sword because some things that used to not bother you may start to bother you physically. So it may sound ridiculous, but it's true. So our tummies, when they're not feeling well, might be telling us more than one thing. It might be asking us not just to look at how we're treating our physical body, but to how we're treating our mental, emotional, and spiritual as well. All right, let me get on to this, Aries, and get this show on the road before it's way too long. I've had the cauliflower crust as well. I never was a big pizza or soda person, surprisingly enough. I'm a salty person. And I really love my Lay's potato chips and my onion dip. And I haven't had an Oreo in probably 10 years. And I don't know, I saw a commercial for Oreos. And next thing you know, I was Oreo bound. All right, Aries. Our first angel is Teresa. The second is Ariel. The third is Vanessa. And the final is Isabella. All right, Aries. Teresa's being joined by the movement card. Ariel's being joined by the earth fairy. Vanessa's being joined by the fear card. And Isabella's being joined by the forgiveness card. Very interesting. Raheel, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I can't do anything personal on this broadcast because it's not, other people are not interested in our personal stuff. So if you'd like to do a reading with me, you can order a half hour through Lotta's site, and we could look at that more specifically. But let me just go on to Aries, because Teresa for me is a card of worry. And oftentimes it'll talk about worrying about other people, but we've had a Mars retrograde for quite some time now. It's going forward. It was squaring Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter for a while. And I felt myself as an Aries rising being a little bit unsure of things. A lot of stuff is out of control for me. I'm a lot of choices around me. And I feel like what's happened is it's made me aware of where do I want to go? Because my experiences let me know that what I see with my eyes isn't always what's happening. So that's where I'm going with this. Aries, there is movement in relation to a worry card. And I don't think this is about more worry as much as it's moving away from worry. It feels like, as an Aries rising, I myself am I going to say I'm vulnerable to choices that don't make me happy? Or am I stronger than that by knowing that I have spirit that sets the tone for the basis of my life? So Ariel talks about new spiritual and spiritual experiences telling me or shifting the way I view the world. And here's the Earth Fairy grounding those experiences. And here I have Vanessa asking me if I'm going to make my decisions based on faith or fear. And then there's the fear card. So what happened is, I think I told some of you guys, they have put my apartment building up for sale. And the same people have owned the building for over 40 years. The first thing you think when they put the building up for sale is they're going to kick us all out. They're going to renovate and raise the rents because of the ocean view. I got scared. And all I started thinking about is, oh no, and all the things in the way this would disrupt my life. And then I caught myself and I went back to how I found this apartment, through spirit bringing me here. And it set a tone for a new way of how I see the basis of my life. And I made the choice to go back to faith. That there's a bigger story here, and that it isn't the humans that run my life, but it is my intention and my co-creation with spirit. So now I can identify where false evidence is appearing real. And then in the final position is Isabella. Yes, the timing is right for this new venture. A happy outcome follows my positive expectation. And then there's the forgiveness card. This is not about forgiveness. It's about reconciling a negative experience that then works for me instead of working against me. So I feel for Aries a moving away from worry, and not because I'm taking physical action, but rather I am taking emotional and spiritual action, and I am tapping into the truth seeker that Aries is. And then I'm going to take my Taurus moon Tiana, and I'm going to put my bull's hooves into the ground, and I'm going to stand strong in that experience of connecting with spirit. And then I'm going to demand that my guides show me that my faith is warranted. And I'm going to be willing to own where my fears are a projection versus an actualization. And then I'm going to allow myself to feel the vibrations of support. Okay, Shelley, first thing I want to say is don't go out looking for your cat. Go out and invite your cat to come home. Invite your cat to come out from underneath the bushes where the cat might be scared. Take a can of tuna fish out there with you. Let the cat smell it. And we will all be sending you loving vibrations that your cat will come home. That your cat will know that she is in the most loving place. Definitely invite her in. For some reason, I'm seeing her scared and hiding under a bush or in some sort of little place that feels dark. Are you sure the cat's not in the house, in the closet? Have you looked in the closets, Shelley? Did the cat get stuck somewhere and you've shut the cat in the closet accidentally? I don't know. No, you haven't checked the house? Years ago when I had my cat, Betty, she got shut into the closet and she was black and white. And she was stuck in the back of the closet and I did not see her. It took a while for me and she was just happy sitting there. So I'm going to send you good vibrations for the cat to come home. I'm not feeling anything super negative about the cat. I don't feel like it was eaten by a coyote or anything like that. So yeah, Shelly, what is her name? So we can all say, and thank Spirit for bringing her home. Buddy. Okay, Buddy. Is Buddy a girl or a boy? Yeah, tuna's great. Don't leave it out, only because you may invite other critters you were not planning on having. But we all going to wish Buddy to come home and look forward to good news next week. I want to thank you all for being here again today. I love each and every one of you, and I'm so appreciative of your support and your energy on this show. This week actually marks my 2-year anniversary here on Lotta's channel. So I just want to thank you all for that. And I'm planning on some fun things for the new year, hopefully more interactions and to bring more community together so we all have a greater voice out here on the planet. So great wishes for Buddy to come back to the house and to do it effortlessly and without incident, and sending lots of love to you. May the winter solstice bring you joy and happiness, and may you all have a lovely holiday season. I'll see you next Sunday when we're about to enjoy a new moon. Full moon. Okay, everybody, take care. Peace out.